Adit starts work at 2 p.m. because he cannot wake up early, and meetings are set up at 2 a.m. in mornings because of that.
This is what happens when you raise massive amount of capital in a very short duration of time.
While Adit could very well be a bachelor, not have a family, etc., he can't expect his team to be working at 11 in the night because people have families, people have kids, people have their husbands and wives and partners and whatnot.
You see, moral erosion isn't a grand conspiracy cooked up in a smoky boardroom with evil laughter in the background.
You can't be cheating both employees as well as customers. Come on.
So there are examples for both sides of it. It depends upon what the leader chooses to represent by and how he deals with it and how he leads by the example. And at the end, a lot depends upon how others perceive them also.
Apparently, drop shipping is not a business.
It does not matter what you generate, how you generate. If you are able to have a great product which has a differentiation and sell it well enough, you have value generated.
This is probably the best place to start, wherein you don't have to worry about the manufacturing of it, but you get to learn all things logistics, all things supply chain, all things financing, all things branding, like Pawan mentioned.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Indian Startup Desktop. Let's go.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Zomato's chief of staff interview has gotten leaked.
Are you hungry?
Very, sir.
Down to earth.
Sir, underground, sir.
On time.
Sir, I always come before time.
Grade A communication.
Triple A communication, sir.
Not much experience?
PhD, sir.
In what?
Curiosity, sir.
I like it.
Thank you, sir.
You're hired.
Thank you, sir.
Compensation will be 20 lakhs.
Lovely, sir.
You pay us. Give.
ये कुकड़ू को
लफड़ा तब होता है जब
For
तुम
some
बराबर
reason,
नहीं
at the
सोते
start, I felt it was an ad from Bold K. Anyways,
Anyway, let's move on. Why you should always pay TDS?
Interesting.
I don't think you guys have seen
as
this.
if I have a choice.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What is this?
Guys, this is why financial education is important in schools.
This is why taekwondo training is important if you work in a bank, Pawan.
Customer assaults Ahmedabad Union Bank manager over TDS issue, it seems.
Oh god. Dude, this is bad. This is horrible.
How did Newton Bankumar not cover this?
To inquire about TDS deductions on his fixed deposit interest. Despite receiving a detailed explanation about the refund process, Raval allegedly became agitated, accusing the bank of misappropriation of his money. He then reportedly pulled out Singh's ID card, grabbed his shirt, and tore it. Fuck, man, it's damn
Tore it.
sad. I'm sure he would have had a lot of effort to save money in this FD, and without prior intimation or without even knowledge of TDS being deducted. And we know this, right? Bankers do this from time to time, like random bank charges. They deduct stuff for every random as thing. So I can empathize with him, but this is definitely not the way to
Slapping and tearing of shirt is a little, not a little, it's way beyond the line.
He should be introduced to Nirmala Sitharaman probably.
That's the joke. Finance minister instructs bank staff to learn taekwondo for self-defense.
Oh
Anyway,
god.
let's move on to the weekly chatter. Is this a mindset problem or an industry problem? Pavan, do you want to weigh in?
I'm sorry, it won't work for me from a tier 1 college. This is too low for me. Hope you understand. Okay, cool.
So just to give you context, this founder has basically asked one guy working in a tier 1 college, do you want to do a part-time job? And he's going to be paying 10,000 rupees per month. And it's a part-time job, so you only work for a couple of hours a week. And this guy is like, hey, I'm from a tier 1 college, so this is low for me. Saksham, what are your quick thoughts?
If I was getting 10,000 rupees in college, I will grab it with both hands. Simple
Really?
as that.
Even in 2024?
In college, I think yes, like again, depends on what skill set this person has. I'm talking about if I was that person, I didn't know anything in college, I would happily take this. But I guess also markets have just drastically changed, I think, in the last few years. Like if I see freshers now with the kind of job offers they have, with the kind of opportunities, I at least feel the difference, just within the last 5 years versus today.
Let's move on.
Oh, we have an AI wrapper?
Over 2 million
Okay.
software engineers don't do anything, and companies are losing $500 billion. Here's the crazy story. Last month, Didi made this post about software engineers who literally make like 2 code changes a
Wow,
month, few
interesting.
emails, few meetings, remote work, less than 5 hours a week for around 200 to 300k dollars. And this got even crazier when Stanford researchers revealed that this isn't just a random observation. Their data shows this is happening everywhere. The researchers analyzed over 50,000 engineers across hundreds of companies and found something wild. 14% of remote software engineers are what they call ghosts. For comparison, only 6% of in-office engineers fall into this category. Most of these engineers make fewer than 3 commits per month. What's crazier is that Aaron Levy, CEO of Box, didn't even know Box itself was on the list. Not just this, even Andre Karpati backed it up and said he's met such engineers and they all laugh about it openly. This has me thinking, is remote work destroying work culture? Considering Elon fired 80%
What
of
do you guys
Twitter
think?
staff and it
Saksham,
still
quick
runs
thoughts?
fine, should this be applied everywhere?
I'm not surprised.
Neither am I.
I actually know. I will refrain from taking names. I know a few folks from different organizations, not just in our industry, but across the software industry, the IT industry, the SaaS industry, all of that, who are paid probably 5x of what they should be paid, considering the work that they're doing. They're spending maybe 2 hours, 3 hours a day working, and I've been seeing these people for the last 3 to 4 years.
I think so. It's very important for us to understand the employer perspective as well. The core engineering jobs, right? They are also designed in such a way that for the longest time they might not have anything to do, but they will have short stint work where the pressure from client or pressure from services or pressure from product is so high that the deliverables needs to be executed as soon as possible. So a lot of companies, like you mentioned, like TCS or a large tech company, they keep engineers in surplus so that if there is a need, they can employ them or they can put it to the problem and they can get the problem solved. And here the arbitrage of what money they can make is so high that they better pay off this extra money for like 8 months of the year and make the engineers work for the rest of the 4 months. So the
Hmm.
payoffs are way higher. So
Yeah.
overall, on a business perspective, I feel it still makes sense.
Yeah, look, I think we're talking about two different things, right? First of all, it's not like these engineers who work just or ship a couple of things in a few weeks is not doing anything because engineering itself is thinking. So majority of the time they're trying to problem solve and figure out how to reach that outcome as well. But that being said, we all know this, right? There is a huge amount of engineers in every company who basically does jack shit, and it's ultimately a byproduct of the demand supply problem, right? If engineers are more in demand, it's much harder to hire an engineer than to keep them. So even if
Yeah.
engineers are not being as productive, as they should, it doesn't make sense for companies to let them go because hiring somebody new is much harder. And I think that's
Yeah,
what they're basically talking about.
yeah, I agree with that. Hiring
So
is probably the most difficult thing.
Let's move on to the story of the week: toxic
Hmm.
Zepto. Toxic work culture featuring Zepto. I've been working with Zepto for a year now. It's the most toxic work culture. I want to post this now because it has a lots of publicity, but only we know how bad things are. Adit starts work at 2 p.m. because he cannot wake up early, and meetings are set up at 2 a.m. in mornings because of that. People start work only at 12 p.m., and because of this, HR is trying to give free breakfast so people start work at 10 and finish work at least 11 p.m. in the night. All meetings are delayed, no meetings happen on time and keep getting postponed, including town hall. There are a lot of dark patterns in the app to extract money from customers in multiple ways, including charging more for customers with phones more
Wow.
than 50,000. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of fake data is given to media, and employees are encouraged to keep posting this material on LinkedIn. Even social media copies and images are given to employees to help with PR. Blah, blah, blah. Many that I know are only staying because there can be an IPO in 2 years and we can make money because of that, which is not a bad trade off at all. But
Yeah.
sheesh, this is big. Zepto is considered to be one of the darlings of the Indian startup scene, and to see them come under such fire is pretty surprising, right, Pavan? What are your thoughts?
this is what happens when you raise massive amount of capital in a very short duration of time, and you have
Hmm.
only one pathway to do, that is grow at all cost, or whatever we talk about growth at all costs. It's a trending word right now. Here, if you are considering to have a growth at all costs, you have to run it this way. And I don't find it to be a bad thing at all. It's a 2 year or a 3 year horizon while a hustle where you reach that stability, you have sorted your unit economics, you see a sustainable supply chain being built, and and that gives you a good liberty later to chill or figure out other stuff or reduce the amount of people or resources or how they are treated, so on and so forth. But now you have taken that massive bet. Now you have said that I'll beat companies who are like 10 years old and reach their valuation, match their revenues. And I'm just one of the three companies who are changing in India. You will have to go through this. I just
Saksham,
hope it goes in the right direction. Like last time when it happened with Byju's and it did not play out well. I just hope it does not go the Byju's way. That's it.
yeah, look, I think Byju's is an aberration because they were doing a lot of shady shit, and I don't think we can compare Zepto to that. But Saksham, before you chip in, look at Adit's tweet. Everybody's saying that it is a reference to the previous post that blew up on Reddit. I have
Hmm.
nothing against work-life balance. In fact, I recommend it to all our competitors. That's fire. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts?
Actually, what Pawan you were talking about, right? I think the large part of the post was not really about people complaining about a lot of work. It was mostly about meetings starting at 2 p.m. or because of that, just because one person or who's actually the founder of the company cannot start his day on time, the rest of the company has to suffer. I don't think people were complaining actually about working long hours. I'm sure anybody who joins a high growth startup already has that expectation set with him or her that they will be expected to work long hours, and they are doing this obviously to make wealth, right? Let's say there's an IPO inside. You can see, like you mentioned, a good supply chain being built, etc. It can't come at a cost of your health in some sense, I feel. While Adit could very well be a bachelor, not have a family, etc., he can't expect his team to be working at 11 in the night because people have families, people have kids, people have their husbands and wives and partners and whatnot. So I think it's largely about that and not really about whether he's making his employees work 10 hours or 12 hours. I don't think people are complaining about that. So it's largely uh, showing up on time, meetings happening on time. Uh, how is the culture within the company in terms of the efficiency of operation? Whether it's politically run or actually our people are shown a path to grow and with the organization. And I think that's what, at least in my mind, that is what is really important. Like for me, work culture, whether the work that I'm doing, while it could be making impact, but if it's messing with my mental health in the even in the short term, I am at least not ready for that trade-off. Let me put it that
Look,
way.
yeah, look, I get what you guys are saying, but for a Zepto founder, when he started Kirana Cart and then Zepto, he was 19 years old. So for a
Yeah,
kid of 19 years of age to build a company that's billions and billions of dollars, you require a different kind of wiring, right? And not
yeah,
everybody. Otherwise, we all would have been millionaires and billionaires when we were 19 years old. And look, the point about whether the company reeks of politics, whether people get promoted, I feel all of this is very subjective. There will be
yeah,
a bunch of people who keep getting promotions, who keep pushing the envelope to keep getting things, and there will be a lot of people who are left behind, and that is unfortunately the nature of corporate life. This actually reminds me of a very famous quote from this show, The Few Good Men, where this
hmm,
complains that, hey, we are to do this, we are to do that, etc. I forgot the name of the character who says this, but he says that's what the money is for. And I think that makes sense, right? We are living in a country where it's so hard to get a job at companies like Zepto. So if you're in that scenario, you're ultimately signing up for the rat race. And I don't think you can blame the employer or the company for things that are not going your way. You always have an option to quit and find job somewhere else. But I think that's my point.
Yeah, but one thing that we missed on is actually the dark pattern sides, right?
oh
May it
yeah,
be understanding the
yeah.
mobile value or a device value, or maybe understanding the location. And it's just not Zepto. I've heard about this for different companies as well. Uber
It happens
charges
in
you
Uber
more.
also, right? It happens in Uber
This
if you
happened,
try
yes.
booking a cab from a hotel versus right outside the hotel, the price is always much
So
higher.
yesterday I actually observed this guy. So I was actually trying to book an auto right here in Indiranagar, Bangalore, and now all these autos apps have pickup points saved. So if I am standing on this side of the road and if the pickup point is on the other side of the road, just if I just go to the other side of the road, the price will drop by around 30-35 rupees. So this is
That's still
something I
fine.
observed
It
before.
might be a one-way road, so he has to take a large, and that's still
I'm
fine.
talking
The
about
one
the
interesting
100 feet
dark
road, which
pattern.
is a two-way road and all of that. But I just think uh, putting the price difference by 30-40 rupees, maybe it's smarter way to save time for the auto drivers. I don't know. But yeah, I noticed that
No, maybe
yesterday.
he'll have to go forward and come to this side, right? So
Yeah.
there might be a difference there. But the interesting pattern was if your device battery is less than 5%, Uber prices are 20% more because they know
Yeah.
that for sure you're going to take it. So
Truth
that's
is,
an interesting dark pattern.
even if you are a Zepto member that with pass that entitles free delivery, many times the free button will not be given if you don't click manually on the app, apply free delivery on this order. This is a unique tactic to snatch away few extra bucks if you are in a hurry and don't click on apply. Shouldn't it be automatically free? Again, a shady
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Again, I think, see, things like these, right? When you're trying to build a high growth company, especially in a
Yeah.
highly competitive space, I think trust is what will take you a long way. And if you're not being right to your customers, if you're not doing right by them, I think it is going to hurt you in the long term, even in the short term, for that matters, because there was a lot of controversy that even happened when they launched their premium pass, where they were
Giving it
introducing
for
it
free.
for
Yeah.
free for 1 rupee instead of 100 rupees and all of that. There was a whole controversy that, bubbled up.
So let's switch gears. Let's talk about dark patterns, right? And this is a
Hmm.
very insightful post that we got from Prashant Singh. I've seen this movie before, and spoiler alert, it doesn't have a happy ending. What surprises me is how normal it feels for folks to ignore the obvious red flags. And in cases like this, gentlemen's even throw a party for them. Let's be honest, it's nothing but glorified pickpocketing, just with better Wi Fi.
I love the tweet. It's damn nice.
This is the best part, right? You see, moral erosion isn't a grand conspiracy cooked up in a smoky boardroom with evil laughter in the background. It's more like a slow leak. Companies don't jump straight into bad behavior, they stumble into it. It's not what they actively do, it's what they let happen. I think that definitely applies to Byju's for sure. I'm not saying Byju Ravindran itself told his salespeople to go and
Hmm.
scam a bunch of parents by saying you're from some other college, or by telling your kid is dumb and you have to take a subscription. But it's on very similar lines.
Yeah.
All it takes is for one growth hacker to cross a line on a Wednesday afternoon just so he can hit his weekend target. And instead of getting auto-corrected, he's tolerated. Or not
Yeah.
auto-corrected, he's tolerated. Sheesh. Yeah, you're right. I think this is look, it's one thing to say that you don't believe in work-life balance and you lead by example and all that, but it's different if you're trying to
You can't
squeeze
be cheating. You can't be cheating
customers
everybody.
without really saying
You
anything, right? And
you
that's
can't
the
be you can't be cheating both employees as well as customers. Come on. You
yeah.
have to do right by somebody. At least the internal employee should be happy, or you make the customers happy. But yeah, I think
I don't think
customers
it's
always have
or.
to prevail.
Uh, Employees need to be happy, or else you can't keep your customers happy either.
Yeah.
It has to go with that.
Which is exactly what my point was. Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
this story took another interesting spin when somebody else posted it on Grapevine, I believe. My two
Hmm.
cents on the Zepto story as a founder. TLDR, I fully support it. 3 points. I am founder here, and one of the major yardsticks you make decisions as a founder is based on how successful startups similar to you did. Self-righteous folks on Twitter and Grapevine won't admit it, but the truth is some of the biggest companies in the world prioritize growth over work-life balance, and I guess
Hmm.
they did fine. By work-life balance yardsticks, the likes of Zomato, Uber, Amazon won't be the huge giants they are today. Completely agree. Simple. Zepto is following the proven pathway of success. More so, they are open about it. Adit literally mentions every time that they are choosing growth over work life balance, and the folks who choose them should do the same. Otherwise, there are thousands of healthy startups to work for, and the truth is, people are doing the same. And finally, building an operations heavy company from scratch is an insanely heavy task. And the moment you slow down, your entire existence can be wiped down by a huge competitors who have truckloads of cash. If you're fighting such an underdog battle, speed is your biggest weapon. Zepto is using it well, I would say. Hmm. Please note, we are not chasing that outcome, and that's the reason we work at a slightly above usual hours. But I totally understand why Zepto is doing it. And truth is, if you or I were building another Zepto, we would have done the same. Until unless you want to disappear in 4 to 5 years. Hmm.
Again, I don't agree, dude. I think it's more about, like I mentioned, right, respecting other people's time within your company. So it's about running a disciplined organization. Could be whatever, right? You have to respect other people's time. Second is, we have only spoken so much about a lot of these founders who are very toxic, like Baijus Ravindran, like Bhavesh Agarwal. We talk about him in every episode. We've seen what happens with Sachin Bansal's Navi, for example, in some sense, right?
I know what name Avan is already thinking to say right now. Let's not go
Exactly.
there, please.
Yeah, let's not introduce that name in this conversation. But my point being that we have seen similar companies who were run by such founders who were largely, in some sense, dictatorial in nature. And what is the outcome that these companies have led to, or a lot of the shitload, tons of issues that they've sort of found themselves in. So it's about operating from that standpoint, wherein you make sure you don't end up in the same scenario when you have enough and more examples to learn from. It's just about
Yeah.
not being oblivious to the obvious.
I mean, there are two perspectives. There are also enough examples of where startups which are of very small size with very less capital or very less resources toiled hard. A group of people worked so hard that they are billion dollars of companies now. So there are examples for both sides of it. It depends upon what the leader chooses to represent by and how he deals with it and how he leads by the example. And at the end, a lot depends upon how others perceive them also. If it's a success, then a lot of people will say that that is the right thing to do. If they go
Yeah.
down the wheel, like what Baiju's happened, people will say that that's not the right way to do. If Baiju's was able to increase the penetration of education in India and deliver meaningful results, right? People would say that that's the sales model that's going to work. A lot of
Yeah.
people would
I
have said
agree.
that. It did
I
not
agree.
work out. That's the reason why we are saying the other way around now.
Yeah, as the saying goes, no, you are wrong until you are successful, and then
Yeah.
you're always right.
Yeah,
And
then
look,
you can preach whatever.
look, yeah, look, and this is not a black or white thing. No, I think there is a lot of grayness over here. Look, if a founder is coming and he's, let's say, forcing his employees to work, beyond normal office times, and he himself is not doing it, I think that's a big red flag. If the founder is
Yeah.
leading the example and clocking these long, working hours, and he's seeing a few employees kind of relate to that and kind of working alongside him, it is only natural that he will want to, prioritize their growth over somebody else who comes in at 9 and leaves at 6 the moment the clock turns 6, right? So
Yeah, I
yeah, I
agree.
think it's a gray area and you can't really change these things.
Fair.
To the weekly elafda, apparently drop shipping is not a business.
Hmm.
So there was this lady who very happily she put out a very sweet post, right? Bro, 150 plus orders done, so fucking grateful. And this character Ankit couldn't just stand positivity that's existing on social media, right? He's like, I hate this grift. So here's everything that they're using to ship this Shopify's theme studio. They're using a school sock style sock. The vendor is from Punjab. The price is rupees 150 including packaging. The keywords and design are inspired by Uniqlo. You are getting scammed. Drop shipping hustle is not real. The revenue plateaus. This is a grift by all means. Unless your name is Arindam Paul or Aman Gupta and you figure out logistics at scale, it's a fun side project at best. Absolutely zero respect for anyone, including my past self in this. I genuinely don't think you should buy this. This is objectively a horrible product, and anyone calling this a good business is brain dead.
Wow, that just feels
Ankit,
personal.
look at Shankar's reply. Did you know that Reliance doesn't grow wheat or cultivate any crops? Did you know that Chroma doesn't make any gadgets? Did you know a huge amount of stuff sold by PNG or HUL is not really manufactured by them? Blah blah blah. Looks like you don't know, and for you, they are grifters. Pawan, what
Yeah.
do you think? Do you think dropshipping is a real business or not?
It is. It is. The largest amount of value generation in a product life cycle happens in branding. That's the meatiest chunk of the entire product life cycle. It does not matter what you generate, how you generate. If you are
Yeah,
able to have a great product which has a differentiation and sell it well enough, you have value generated. And that's what India needs. India has a lot of great products. Whatever is mentioned, right? Some vendor in Ludhiana who is manufacturing stocks which are as good as Uniqlo, which is an MNC, which is a brand outside of India, and it's loved by people of India and loved by people outside of India. That's the branding problem solved really well, and it has a lot of value. And that's what
Yeah.
dropshipping is all about. If the chairs that we get in India, the Wake Fit, or it might be the headphones, it might be electronics, it might be the headphones. A lot of things are imported from China because manufacturing them in the scale that which we consume and beating the cost is not just possible without incentives from government. And China has cracked it really well. And this is same case like Ludhiana. There are a few places in Ellore in Tamil Nadu which have cracked the garment industry to the next level. Such a beautiful supply chain that they're designed. And now with Bangladesh going down, the demand from textiles from India is rising up. And it's a great opportunity. And if people are capitalizing by solving the branding game, which these manufacturers are not able to do, it's a win-win for everyone. I don't know what's the problem.
I agree. I also feel for people starting to, wanting to do a business, start a business, this is probably the best place to start, wherein you don't have to worry about the manufacturing of it, but you get to learn all things logistics, all things supply chain, all things financing, all things branding, like Pawan mentioned. I think it's also just great from a learning perspective if you want to be a founder and eventually maybe start something big.
Yeah, look, I think I understand the crux of what Ankit is also saying, right? He's merely saying that drop shipping does not really add meaningful value. What it does is you basically buy products from place A, do a little bit of branding, and you sell prices at place B. Now the thing is, drop shipping is great way to test product market fit. Are people buying what you are reselling, right? But after a certain point, and this is not some big yarn, this is common knowledge. After a certain point you realize that you have to manufacture your own stuff.
Yeah.
Only then you get better margins, you get better control of quality, and a whole bunch of things that comes along with it as well. So I understand the crux of what he's saying, but to calling drop shipping a pure scam or a grift is just lazy in my opinion.
And to be
Iron
fair to Kashmira, it is actually her side business. If you look at her profile, she clearly works engineering at Walmart, and this is her side business. So I don't know why Ankit is giving so much hate.
in my previous job, I mean, while I was running my old startup, I used to sell chips for a living. And like Zomato, Swiggy, Cult Fit, Eat Fit, all by my customers. I never manufactured a single chips in my life. These are all sourced from like multiple vendors. I used to handle branding, and you have like an arbitrage of 1 to 10, like 100%, sometimes 1,000% of margin arbitrage in food business. And what's the problem? These manufacturers who are based out of tier 4, tier 5, small villages or small cities of India, they don't have enough reach to the larger brands. And larger brands also don't have enough resources to figure out where the best product is available. And if you are making these two things happen, if you are making these two things come together, there's value generation for the entire supply chain. Everyone is happy. And such a thing is a great thing to get started. And then, Pete, I think so. What you are saying is right. Eventually, over a longer period of time, replicating your back-end vendors with your own manufacturing is an easy job if you have a constant demand coming to you. But if you don't have a demand only, if you don't know if this product will work only, you investing like crores of rupees or thousands of dollars in building a manufacturing unit is not gonna sail your boat.
And
Yeah.
Pawan, having said that, what's your previous startup now valued at?
Zero right now.
Uncalled for. Uh,
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, but look, I think drop shipping is basically a mere phase. Once you basically test out your customers, test out your positioning, test out your price. But once you get all of this thing, I don't think drop shipping is sustainable. Sure, there can be a couple of large companies doing this, but I don't think there can be a lot of companies doing this as well because eventually the makers itself will realize the market they have and will start doing this. Look, we all know that there is this garment factory in Tirupur and a bunch of places in Gujarat, Rajasthan, etc. Stuff like that. It's not like these people don't know that if they sell it on internet, they have a bit of branding, etc. They will get more margins per se. I think they're also merely observing a bunch of these internet folks trying to see if they can get their foot off the ground. And once they do it, I'm sure these manufacturers themselves will get into this. So I used to run this toy website a couple of years back called Vocal for Local Toys. Don't check it up; it's not existed anymore. Where basically I source toys from all over India, from Channapatna, from Rajasthan, from Kerala, from West Bengal, etc. And I kind of sell it, as a common platform. Now, over a period of time, the sellers that or the products that sold the most, I realized that they themselves saw the sales that I was generating for them and started their own D2C websites and all that. Now, ultimately, because it was run as a social initiative, I didn't really want to make a lot of money. I helped them set up their own Shopify website, their own payment gateway and stuff like that. So yes, this is a phase, but over a period of time, either the manufacturer themselves will do this, or you yourself have to differentiate into a larger brand. And that's where I went to your earlier point. Branding plays a whole lot of value.
Yeah.
And the other context, other side of the story that is also that these manufacturers usually, because they manufacture, they will have to manufacture in bulk. So they can't deal with a small order. They need
Yeah.
to have enough skin in the game. They need to have economy of scales meeting them so that the entire value chain makes sense to it. So having like 100 people like this is a great deal for them rather than them being that one of the 100 people. So that's also their side of story.
But yeah, so Kashmira, keep going. Haters just gonna keep hating, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
Ankit. So that's it from this week's edition of the Indian Startup Desktop. See you next week. Bye bye.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys. Bye bye.